Mike Owens and Inside Fighting here, joined today by Christian C-Rod Rodriguez, who's coming off one of the biggest wins of his career in the UFC, in the Apex, last Saturday night against Austin Bashi. Christian, great to sit down and chat. How are your emotions how are your emotions after your last win, I should say?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. It's in especially coming after a loss, so I've been feeling really excited about this win.
I would imagine I always feel a little bit sorry for the guys and girls who are booked on the first UFC card back because you obviously have to sacrifice certain parts of your Christmas and your New Year
Yeah.
celebrations. What was that like, and how did you manage that process?
My birthday was like 3 weeks ago also, so it was
Okay.
my birthday, Christmas, and New Year's. So yeah, it wasn't too rough. I mean, just like the eating part, um, kind of sucked, but that was like whatever. It'll pay off. But I've been kind of used to it. I've done this before. I fought around January, so it's like I'm kind of used to it. But it could be worse, I guess.
It could be worse to go through all that and then come off a loss, but obviously you come off a win. So where do you feel like this one ranks in terms of the best wins of your career?
Yeah, definitely. This was another big prospect. Austin, he was like supposedly the number one prospect in the whole United States. So it's definitely a big win for my career, and it definitely puts my name back in the mix.
Have you had chance to watch the fight back? Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it a couple times already. I always end up watching it like 10 times, like right away.
So what's your assessment of your performance?
It was good. There's like a couple things that I need to work on that I feel like I let him back in the fight. I knew I was a better fighter overall, but there's some things in the fight that I kind of let him start going. So yeah, just some adjustments for the next one.
What was some of those things that you let him back in the fight with?
Yeah, so I knew in the first round I would be better. But then the second round, I got a little too comfortable, and I thought I was gonna put him away. I thought he was like mentally done,
Mm.
but he kept pushing, and then there's some grappling exchanges that he got the better of me, and then he was just kind of holding me in that position. So I'm like, okay, I can't let him. I can't think that the fight's already over, you know.
Mm.
So definitely that, and a couple of things against the cage to make things get easier.
Mm. I imagine when yourself and your coaches, Duke Rufus and the other guys at Rufus Sport, were coming up with the game plan, you knew that what Austin was going to want to do, which was trying to take you down with his wrestling pedigree, probably try and take you back and try and get hunt for submissions. Can I ask, was this one of the toughest fights of your career? Because given your style and what you had to prepare for, I imagine it was quite a miserable 8 to 10 week camp of trying to stuff all those takedowns as you did so well.
Yeah, this camp was rough. We knew he was gonna shoot so many times. So this camp was like definitely me in the trenches, me. Yeah, it was rough. There's a lot of grappling, a lot of high intensity practices. So it was definitely one of my harder camps too. And like the thing is too, it's like I lost my last one, so it was like I had a bigger fire in me, so I was doing even more and more and more workouts. So it was definitely one of the most tiring camps of my career so far.
Is it a different mentality going into a fight off a win as opposed to coming off a loss?
I think so. I think because the first time I lost in my career, it was on short notice. So it was kind of like okay, it was on 6 days notice.
Hmm.
But like the last one, I had a full camp, so it was like def it definitely put a bigger fire in me.
Hmm.
It's like I'm always trying to be the best and trying to win every fight, but I think coming off a loss, you just feel something different inside of you that drives you, pushes you even more.
Hmm. You said you'd had a chance to watch the fight back, and when I was watching it back today myself, one of the things the commentary team pick up on is your coolness. Like you seem to be so cool and so kind of stoic in the moment. I think your heart rate was probably lower than mine was watching the actual fight back. I don't quite know how you keep that up, but is that something innate in you or something that you've learned or you've developed over time as a skill, or do you feel like that comes naturally?
No, it's something I definitely developed throughout time. Keeping your heart rate down and those high intensity fights is like really important. That's how you get your so you keep your gas going. You don't make a lot of decisions because I knew if I get worked up a lot and I would make some mistakes. So when every time I always try to be calm and relax. I can always think clearly.
Were you? The fight was, I think it was a pretty clear. Most people scored only had it 2 rounds to 1 for you, but we have seen crazier scorecards and judges go different ways for in wider margins. Were you confident when it went to the scorecards that you were going to get the decision?
Yeah, I knew I had the first round. I knew he had the second round. But even after the second round, when the second round ended, I was like, all right, I can't fuck up again. But yeah, I knew I won the third round.
Mm.
But I feel like you never know. After the third round, I was like, okay, I think I won this. But let me just wait for the judges to say it. And then yeah, the judges said it.
Mm. Raul, that leaves Raul Rosas, Cameron Simon, Isaac Tulgarian, and then now Austin Bashi as guys who you've taken the row from. Can I ask, why do you feel like you're the guy who the UFC keep putting up against these undefeated fighters with a little bit of hype around them, and you kind of given that opportunity to take that undefeated record?
Yeah, to be honest, I have no idea. To be honest, I have no idea. I don't know if the UFC is trying to using me as a stepping stone, or they just like both of us, and they're like, we either build up Christian or we build up this prospect. Because at one point the UFC was trying to push me too, but I messed that up after that Cameron Simon fight with the weight miss. So it's kind
Mm.
of it put a halt on my career. But at that point, they were also trying to build me up. So I think the UFC was either trying to build me up or this prospect up.
I, I remember when you fought Raul, and it was so interesting because they were building it as this young guy who's going to become the youngest UFC champion in history, and they weren't talking about, or the commentators or the media weren't talking about you as a prospect, and I think you were 24 or 25 in your career, so still pretty
Yeah.
young. I don't feel like you've even had the opportunity to be viewed as a prospect in some ways. Do you kind of agree with that?
Um, yeah, a little bit. I mean, I guess I can understand just because of the weight miss. So it's kind of like it's hard to
Mm.
put someone like build someone up when we're messing up on the scales, you know. So it's kind of like yes, but I can understand why.
Some fighters who I speak to might find that the phrase "prospect killer," as I saw you labelled this week, as slightly insulting. They might say that, as you mentioned there, you be potentially being used as a stepping stone for other fighters. Do you see it in that way, or does that not faze you?
What is the
The idea of being a prospect killer, the idea of being somebody who is used as a litmus test for other young fighters to see how good they are.
I like it. Yeah. At first I was like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter, but now I like it, you know. It's I get to represent my company, I guess.
Mm,
I was like, this is different now. It's like I really don't care if someone was like the number one prospect in the whole world, you know. It's like once you get to UFC, it's so different.
mm. Out of
And
interest, sorry, go ahead.
and I have that same mentality with like everything else too. It's like you can be a jiu-jitsu black belt or a wrestling champ. Once you step in that cage, like you don't have those accolades anymore. It's like now we're doing MMA. This isn't you don't have, yeah, those accolades go away.
Mm. Out of interest, then we'll move on to another topic. But of the four guys that you fought, Rosas, Bashi, Simon, and Bulgarian, who do you think will go the furthest, as in the rest of their careers?
I think Rosas.
Rosas.
Yeah, definitely Rosas.
What makes you say that?
Um, just because the kid's so hungry. He's so hungry. He never made excuses after the fight. Bulgarian was like that I was put lotion in my body, that I cheated. I'm like, okay, you sound like a sore loser. Um, Bashi, he's good too. Bashi's really good, but definitely Rosas, just because like I can relate to him. It's like when things don't go our way, it's like, what can we do? Can we just sit down and mope about it, or do we just pick ourselves up and keep getting better? So I definitely think Rosas doesn't go the farthest in his career.
Yeah, 100%. We'll turn the conversation back to you. What a great way to start your year. Who do you want next? Is there a guy that you look at and go, me and him make sense as a potential next fight? And what's your timeline for your return?
Yeah, I want to find the Miami card on that April Miami card, the pay-per-view one. And I think me and Andre Fili makes sense. I know he's coming off a win. He has a pretty high value name. He's pretty exciting. I mean, I won't try and wrestle him for like a whole entire fight. So
Mm.
we definitely put on a show for the fans.
Do the idea of striker versus striker matchups interest you more in some ways?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Just because like I feel like it's more exciting for the fans. It's more excitement. It's hard. Yeah, it's. I don't want to say it's hard finding people who like Bashi, but it's just so much. You just gotta be so reserved because it's hard to get things going. It's like it's hard to really exchange when people are shooting at you like 18
Mm.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And what interests you most about fighting on the Miami card in April?
Um, because when I fought in Miami against Raul,
Mm.
it's so crazy. The pay per view atmosphere, it's so different than any other fight night. Miami's fucking amazing. It's a beautiful city. The weather, the yeah, the whole environment. I love everything about it.
The rumor that I'm hearing, actually, funny enough, you mentioned Miami, because the rumor I've heard is that the title fight in your division will be on the line at UFC
I heard about that.
314
Yeah,
between Ilia Topuria, and the rumor is Alexander Volkanovski. How do you see that potential rematch playing out between champion and challenger?
I think it'll be a little more competitive this time, but I think Ilia still gets it done. I think Ilia is definitely on a whole different level right now. But I think Ilia wins it.
Excluding Christian Rodriguez, because I imagine that's what you might say. Who do you think is the toughest test for Ilia Topuria in the featherweight division?
I don't know. I would say either t- between Mosar and Diego Lopez. Yeah, I think they're both the toughest fights for him right now.
They're very different styles. So what makes you feel like both of those would be the ones that could potentially give him problems?
Yeah, just because Diego Lopez is on a tear right now, he's so
Mm,
hungry. He's like that hunger and drive he has right now. It's like that is very it's different. And then for Mosar, he's like a very wrestling based fighter. And it's hard finding people like that. You gotta find very. I don't want to say you gotta fight boring, but you're more reserved with your
mm,
striking.
mm.
So that's why I think those are the two toughest tests.
I mean, he's been so impressive last year. I mean, he was most people's fighter of the year. If he wasn't, then Alex Pereira was your fighter of the year. To knock out Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway in back-to-back fights is nothing short of incredible. When you look at his style, do you feel like he's doing anything different or bringing anything different to the featherweight division?
Yeah, that first round is always dangerous with him. That first round is always very dangerous because he's so explosive
Mm,
and like just the way his grappling is too. It's like his grappling is very. He's not. He never tries to stall you out. He's always hunting for stuff. It reminds me kind of like Oliveira back when he was younger.
mm.
It's like once it hits the ground, it's like they're always hunting for submissions. They're always trying to do something. They're never just laying down. So it definitely brings a different look for the featherweight division.
Just on that, because we've mentioned a couple of times about guys that kind of to and fro striker versus grappler fights, and you've talked about in your fight on Saturday about how Bashi was so adamant on trying to get the takedown. That was something that one of your management team, and your former UFC lightweight champion Anthony Pettis faced a lot in his career about guys trying to take him down, stall him out, and all of that. Have you sought any advice from Anthony about how to deal with those kind of styles?
Yeah, he does. Just because we're so used to it, we've always fought people like that, like our whole
Mm,
entire career. It's just like we gotta just be patient. The more excited we get, the more we want to hit them, and then that's how they would shoot under. It's like we have to have this discipline in our mind of just hit them enough and then be out of the way, not get too carried away with exchanges.
yeah. Well, you've kind of mapped it out because you've just had a fantastic victory last Saturday night. You now told me you want to fight on the April 9th Miami card. But are there any other goals that you have for 2025 to wrap up?
Yeah, I want to be active this year. I'd love to fight for at least 4 times this year. Um, because last year I think I only fought like twice.
Mm.
So I would love to be as active as possible this year.
Well, you made a good start to the year on Saturday night, so congratulations. Enjoy the victory, and I look forward to seeing you back in action soon. And thank you for the time.
Hey man, I appreciate it.